And Dowd, you play Patty Levin, former leader of the guilty remnant cult in HBO's critically acclaimed The Leftovers. Let's go to the beginning and go back to when you first became involved with the show. How did you become involved, and how was the role of Patty sold to you?
I read the script. I thought, what is this about? This is very odd. I auditioned, and I thought to myself, this woman doesn't speak. She writes, she smokes, and she wears white. And suddenly it became very interesting to me. I don't know what happened, but in the room auditioning, I thought I quite like her. I like her sense of self. I know it didn't come easily to her, whatever her past was, and I had no idea, essentially. It was not an easy go. She earned this step by step, whatever place she's in, she knows where she's at. And she was very compelling. It was supposed to be a recurring character, meaning, how a few times kind of thing. And just pretty close to when we began shooting, it became a series regular, which is really lovely news for an actor on a number of levels. But the main one is that you're in the family. Do you know what I mean? And this character will have a future somehow that will come to be over time, and it will matter.
Yeah.
That was, and it was oh my God, when I think of that first year and how extraordinary it was to see how things unfolded. And so much of it was very, how do you get a grasp on it? What are we talking about here? Anyway, I'll ramble on, so please.
But it's true, like Patty is not your run-of-the-mill villain. Focusing on her journey over the show's first season, she really barely uttered a word or a sound throughout the season. And she was still so incredibly menacing. So what was your inspiration, or what did you draw from in helping to create this really unusual and memorable character?
Well, a lot happens when you walk into a room and you don't speak. You'd be amazed. I never do it. I'm a talker. I think most of us are, to a degree.
Yeah.
When you walk into a scene and you're not going to say one word, you better have your wits about you, because we're used to getting our power and our strength of communication using the words we use. Well, come to find out, it really isn't the most powerful way of communicating necessarily. Yeah. So just having to stand in a room, go after what this character wanted, do so with commitment, you get a quick, you get a sense of her almost immediately, because you have to. You're walking into these very, very interesting and powerful scenes, working with these other actors who are very strong, and just that silence was thrilling. I can't tell you, I've just never experienced anything like it. At first I thought, how am I going to do that? What are you going to do? But then just stepping into her shoes and her story, Damon will answer any question you have. Yeah. If you ask the question, he will answer. He will not volunteer. So that I kind of chose to go very slowly. I didn't want to know way ahead what was going on. But as things became more intense and more complicated, I would put the email in and he would answer. And he's so, from his writing, he's very eloquent and he's very clear. And he is very attached to these human beings. So I'm sorry, I'm really not answering your question. But
no, I think you are.
Something else. By the end of it, and this sounds completely absurd, and I'm sure Bill Belichick, would have other thoughts about it. Do you follow football at all?
Some football, probably not the same football that you follow.
Watch the Patriots, the Boston Patriots. Okay, no. I'm from Massachusetts, so that's my team, so to speak. I mean, growing up, I resented every bit of it, because that's always what was on the television.
Yeah.
But they have a coach named Bill Belichick who is very powerful, never says boo, from what I can see, doesn't give a damn what the press has to say about him, cares only about the game. And I used to watch him and think, who is that man? And his power, and suddenly, maybe 5 episodes in, I thought, oh, I know who she reminds me of, Bill Belichick. I know that sounds absurd, but at any rate, that's, just a little side story there.
Yeah,
Um,
you'd be surprised what.
yeah, where things come from and
Yeah.
how. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So then, what happens for people who don't remember or who don't recall exactly what happened? It's been a while since season 1 aired. In the episode Cairo, episode 8, Patty's tied to a chair and held prisoner in a cabin, which culminates in her slitting her throat. It's a really, really menacing and scary episode for the audience. And I'm just wondering if you can take us back to the challenges of filming that episode, because it was really, the climax of season 1 for your character.
Yes, I can tell you that was, without question, one of the most astonishing days I've ever spent as an actor. First of all, it was pouring rain. We were in the middle of the woods, Saxon woods. When you see a crew put together a set and prepare to shoot in the pouring rain, in a cabin, deep in the woods, the rain on the roof, Justin, whom I adore, and the closeness of those two characters, we didn't even see it coming, really. It was gradual, but when we thought about that scene afterwards, to both of us, it seemed like a love scene. I know that perhaps sounds very odd, but the connection between them and the understanding between them and the Patty wanting him to come to her, him resisting, and coming to love one another in that circumstance was, I can't tell you, that day was, it broke my heart and it thrilled me at the same time. I don't know when I've ever felt stronger attachment to material, to an actor, to a character. The thing is, he wrote it kind of like a play, and that's a rare thing. The scene continued. It wasn't fast. It just happened, and it unfolded like a scene in a play might. I know that sounds vague, but it was slow and steady, and we were in that beautiful cabin, and she wanted to end. You know what Damon explained over time to me was that the goal, death is that's the end game. Because life for them is over anyway, the guilty remnant, and they don't know why people can't see it. Stop your nonsense. Stop with the going to the mall. Stop with your ridiculous parades, and face the fact that life has ended. And just sit and the need to simplify and let go of attachment. How huge is that in our own lives? To play a woman who wanted only that. Let me let go. I'm going to embrace this. And when you find out the suffering, oh my God, what her life was, and the triumph of finally coming into her own self as a woman and knowing, hey, I'm not an idiot. I actually matter, and what I have to say, it means something, and I'm going to do it. And then guess what else I'm going to do? I'm going to leave, and I'm going to ask you to do it for me, because. For Kevin, Justin's character, he's the peacemaker. We don't want a peacemaker. We don't want peace. We want explosion. We want the end. And so for him to say, okay, yes, I will do that, would have been extraordinary. He wouldn't. So, hey, I'm ready. And that's it. To know that she was ready and finished. And this was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that's why Patty's journey is so critical to the show. I'm not surprised that you became a member of the family, so to speak, because the show really does touch on a lot of really profound themes. Like, it's existential in terms of what these people are doing now that 2% of the world's population have just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Right.
And when we move into season 2, your character's journey really goes into a completely different direction, because you then start to appear as a ghost, so to speak, to Kevin. Actually, when I spoke to Damon a few days ago, he likened Patty more to a demon than a ghost, because he joked that, ghosts usually are very helpful on romantic comedies, whereas demons just want to destroy you. And so talk us through that transition.
Well, it's funny that Damon should put it that way. One of the things I love about him is that he doesn't impose that, because I did not see her as a demon. Not that I was unwilling, hey, we got dark the first season, let's get dark in second season. Do you know what I mean? All bets are off. But I remember saying to Damon, am I trying to, is Patty trying to, help him with his relationship? You know how she'd say to him, "Oh, I told you, don't tell her. What are you telling her for? I told you she's going to leave you." It's almost as though, and he said, "Oh, no, she doesn't believe in relationship." Patty's, she killed herself, and that to her was the end of it. And suddenly she's deeply present in another human being's life. She didn't ask for that. And she herself, and this is what Damon was very helpful in explaining, doesn't know what's going on. Why am I here? When Kevin is off and anxious and nervous, I'm on my game. When he's strong and saying, "I know your shit, I know it," she's off. They're connected again in a way that is perverse, intense, and mostly intimate. Because intimacy for either one of those characters is the hardest planet to touch. They keep it at such a distance for different reasons. But that's, to me, why they were so profoundly connected. In the end, makes me cry even to think about it.
Yeah.
She looks to him to release her. And he does so with kindness and with love. But I think she's trying to figure it out, that whole, why am I attached to this guy? Why am I... who said do this? I mean, I don't want to do this, and don't think I've got the answers, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Man up and figure it out.
Yeah. Let me go. Let me go. I wanted to go, and I'm still here.
Yeah, don't think it's my idea of a good time to be hanging around with you. This is not.
Exactly.
And she didn't know when she was going to be there, and when she wasn't going to be there. And I remember people saying, "Well, ghost or demon," and all I could think of was, well, she's a presence in his life. And to be able to play those scenes only with him, I love the whole cast. Are you kidding? I do it. But the closeness over time and the trust between actors, that's such a good thing.
And that, that culminated in the really critically acclaimed climax of season 2, International Assassin, which people are still talking about. It was a very profoundly moving and exciting and uncompromising and unpredictable episode. And it was built around the construct, for people who don't know, that Kevin Garvey has to die in order to shake Patty off and throw her, a version of her, a young child-like version of her, into a well. Like, it's if you read it on the page, you think, what on earth is this? But it really works. It really does. And Lindelof did say, the margin of error was very high, and yet all of you actors played it totally straight, so that the absurdity of the premise really worked. So take us back to International Assassin and what you thought.
Well, it's funny. I remember talking to Damon about a very specific point, and I don't think he agreed with me because you have to put it together. It has to make sense, and you have to be able to go from point A to point B, even though this is not a linear show, for lack of a better word. But what I mean by that is, so here's Patty going to run for president, and she's chatting it up with Kevin and so on and so forth, and suddenly she realizes, wait a minute, something's up. I think she senses there's a threat in this room, and it's large. And when the woman, I think when he goes to the bathroom to get the gun and take care of business, I think that's when Patty leaves the room and gets her double and says, "Get in there, your turn."
Yeah.
Because when I said to Damon, "Oh, well, that was Patty in the room that whole time talking to him. And that was her selling it and saying, you know what, families, that's the end. What's the point? Destroy families. Brilliant. You are something else." That is Patty. Nobody could do, in other words, that woman from Boston, her double. I'm sorry, I'm making no sense. Are you following this at all?
I totally am following it. Probably people who haven't seen the show are probably thinking, what on earth are they talking about? But I'm totally invested.
I beg your pardon, but you know, I think at that point,
but that's the leftovers, Anne. That's the leftovers. It's you know, a lot of it is inexplicable. So please continue.
Well, because I said to, so when I come out and said, you know, I'm not her, whatever. And then when I'm saying to Damon, well, that isn't her. And he just went quiet on the phone. What I mean is, and the director, you know, we are all trying to put it together as to point A, point B, point C, just for the playing of it, because it is rooted in what is real for these people, no question. So to have her, I thought what he came up with for that episode was mind-blowing. Imagine Patty Levin running for president. I was speechless. I thought it was extraordinary. Yeah. And the well. Yikes. First of all, reading that script and thinking of that little girl and Patty and that finally, see, this is to me in season 2, it's her spiritual death, her release. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Physically she's gone, and she's thinking that's the whole deal, but she wasn't finished because she hadn't achieved the intimacy and hadn't been able to say, I had a chance to get out of that creepy marriage where I was nothing, and I chose not to. That's all I need to say now. I've said it. My life is out there. It's finished, and help me. And I'm scared, but could you just help me leave?
Yeah. And he does.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. That's a really unclear answer. And
no,
he does.
Well, you know, but that's international. And you know, he does. He comes into the well, and when Damon talks about the absurdity of it, you know, then you have a beautiful monologue about jeopardy and about Kazakhstan being the answer and not the Ukraine. And it's so ridiculous, but it's sold to us. We are so with you.
That you would pick that jeopardy.
I know. It's hilarious, but yet so moving. And so, yeah, you both, it would have been a real highlight for both you and Justin to do that kind of material in a dark, wet well, but it really did pay off.
You should that's the thing, and you've seen it. You know, you've watched Jeopardy, have you?
Yeah, I have. Yes.
And you can somehow backstory some of those people, and your heart could break in a million pieces.
Yeah.
And to just see her having that experience and thinking, of course, I thought it was so extraordinary. And so here's this well, this massive well, and the crew, and Justin and I just in that water, trying to make sense of what's about to happen. And I'm glad that Damon is articulate, because that whole experience was so mind-blowing and so profound in its completeness. I just literally, I don't know, I just went home and had to go straight to bed and let that whole thing turn into a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. Let's change tack a bit, because I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about your work on compliance. That was from a few years ago now, and that was I think it was a really big breakthrough for you. Although you've had such a great, impressive body of work behind you, do you feel that compliance really, as the film and your involvement in it, really changed the trajectory of your career?
Without question. Without question. You know, that's the same director, International Assassin and Compliance. Of course, you know, Briggs Oval. I love. Yes, you know, there sometimes a role will come your way and you just get it. In other words, people said often about that character, boy, it must have been a reach. And at first I thought, oh, well, no, I get it. I think most women, if you are raised in a family to defer, and you are raised to defer to authority, defer to the church, if you have a constitution that can't say, no, don't think I'm going to do that. If you have a father who says, come on, fatty, better marry him because no one else is going to marry you. All of those things, it's a perfect storm. And to answer your question, it most certainly was a breakthrough role. And I didn't see it coming, meaning you shoot so many films, you know, like independent, quiet films. You never know if they're going to see the light of day. I thought this was beautifully written and directed and so on. But yeah, it was pretty thrilling, I'll tell you.
And you were nominated for an Independent Spirit Award. You also were nominated by the critics, and you won at the National Board of Review. Earlier this year, you were also nominated again by the broadcast critics for your role on The Leftovers. What do awards and accolades mean to you? I usually ask this question to cast and crew because some people say, oh, I don't really care about them. And some people are a bit more honest and say, well, they mean a lot because they're my peers and they're my fellow industry professionals giving me a seal of approval. Well, what do you think of awards?
Well, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm way too attached. By that, I mean, I think, you know what? Couldn't have been happier with the work, meaning doing the work. That, no, hands down is it. Then comes the award ceremonies and you win and you're on top of the world, or you don't. And suddenly you feel like a complete big fat loser. And I say to myself, Anne, get a grip. So I'm trying to get some balance there, but I got to tell you, it sways me every time. And the other thing is, I wasn't in that arena until compliance, and so that was like, I swear to God, that's like trauma, the high intensity of it, and the predictions and this and that, so balance is the goal. And that's true. These are our peers, and it's wonderful to be recognized. And keeping the eye on the prize, and the prize is the work. To me, keeping your head steady, grateful for what for the work you get, and if you are noticed and given an award, hey, thank you so much. But again, balance is it's a work in progress. Let us say.
Absolutely. Now, The Leftovers is about to move into season 3. Are we done with Patty? Are you allowed to even say?
I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
You went with that. Because how many ways can you die? Well, let's see.
Yeah.
But I've surely loved it. I'll tell you, very much so. This is their first day of shooting.
Yeah. It's very exciting.
You know everything before I say it.
I do. I should just pretend like that. Yeah. Oh, really? That's fantastic.
Global director. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Did he really? Wow. That's fantastic.
Oh, I think I did my homework. Thank you very much.
No, of course not. And thank you for your time, and congratulations on a really successful season 2. And we hope perhaps to see Patty again. And if not, we will no doubt see you on many more things to come.
I thank you so very much. Pleasure talking to you.